You are watching the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, your escape to reality.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Friday SGU live stream.
It's Friday! Weekend starts. Woo! And it's a long weekend, which is the best kind of weekend.
Yes, I agree. We have a guest, if you're paying attention. We have a guest, there's an extra square. Alan Melikjanian, who better known as Dr. Disillusion. Doctor,
yes,
welcome.
I've recently got my doctorate, so I think congratulations are in order. Thank you very much.
You went from captain to
captaining a ship.
Yep.
Yes. It's great to be here, you guys. I'm so
You
excited.
are properly attired.
Oh my gosh.
Alan, how many
that's right,
YouTube
yes.
how many YouTube shows do you
Nice,
have
bro.
to make in order to be given the title of captain? That's a good question.
Well, you know, recently I was caught off guard by, I was guesting on another thing, and they just asked me straight out, well, what are you a captain of? And I was like, my own destiny? I don't know. I haven't thought that part of the lore yet. I haven't figured it out. Give me time. These
Oh
things
yeah, it's time, man. You need a full backstory. You got to know the whole deal with Captain D, man.
Well, like with everything else, it takes a little, you know, you slowly form it based on like individual needs of little episodes. You know, I need a character who's weird. Let's have this person, and now they become part of the canon, and then, you know, you slowly grow it. But I'm a little bit slow with that stuff. I kind of dole it out bit by bit. Yeah, you're right. It's time to get more, to get it all figured out.
More backstory.
If you ever need a sidekick, let me know. I'll you know, I'm available. You know.
And
Yes, you can digitally make Jay very, very tiny.
Yeah, it'll be a mini you.
that's true. That's true. You know, like the lamp, Mr. Flair character recently, or a few years ago now, lost the lamp, and he's disembodied, and he needs a new vessel to be like a wisecracking sidekick. So maybe it could be this guy. You know, this is
Yeah, maybe the light bulb can fly up my ass, and then I become the light bulb. You know.
that'll take it up a notch.
Yeah, right. I'm just trying to help, dude. I know how to make good content. You got to trust me.
I appreciate it. Yeah, that video will absolutely not get flagged instantly on YouTube.
Yeah, right.
It's all good.
So now you're realizing that while Jay does generate a lot of content, he also needs an editor. Somebody to filter. He needs a very strong filter in place. Yes.
If I didn't have Steve, I would have been in prison or something by now at this point.
It's good. You guys have this whole dynamic, this interdependency. That's how it works.
Yeah,
Like that
totally.
Captain Disillusion and Kid Meatball.
Oh man, I would love to be a meatball.
That's
You
good.
have to make your own
awesome.
superhero costume, though. That's on you.
Yeah.
I'm not working with that.
So Alan, how long you been doing Captain Disillusion? And I mean that like making episodes.
Around 13 years, maybe going into 14th year now. A little too long, I would say, but yeah, it's been quite a journey. I mean, it's hard. I don't know how to count it because there were periods where I kind of eased off and I wouldn't release that much content per year. So maybe it's better to count like how many minutes of content I have.
Okay, how
offline
many?
or something?
Yeah,
I don't know. We're gonna have to.
You can't throw that out there and not have the answer.
Sorry, yeah, this is the kind of stuff I should prepare. It's probably not that much, to be fair. You know, my average video is like 5 to 15 minutes long, but this most recent one is like the first time I ventured into like a longer form thing, which is unusual territory for me, at least on the channel, like doing this kind of stuff. So
How long is it?
I don't know. The new video is 41 minutes long. Like I've never released. I've released actually the first time I went to TAM. I think I did a video about that back in the day, and it was. But back then you couldn't even put a video longer than 15 minutes on YouTube, so I had to break it up into pieces. Yeah, and even that wasn't altogether as long as this. So, you know, I don't know if I want to do this every time because it took me like 7 months to make this video. But
Yeah, well, I mean, post-production alone, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like, and I don't know if I could do a long version of something about like purely debunking stuff or skepticism. You know, I mean, especially nowadays, like people request the same kind of stuff from me, and the news is kind of silly about like unusual videos like the Pentagon UFOs or whatever. So sometimes I just gotta kind of escape to my happy place and just talk about stuff I enjoy, like just effects from movies. So I started this kind of sub-genre series on the channel called VFX Cool, and I just do deep dives on effects from Hollywood movies that are like from the golden age of visual effects, like the 80s and 90s.
Golden age.
Well, you know, like in a way, I think of it that way because effects weren't as hokey anymore, but they weren't yet just fully computerized photorealism as today.
Yeah, they're like still practical effects.
Yeah, like you could watch
What have you
it and
covered?
you could be like, well, it's not. I have only been able to do two episodes or episodes on two things, and it's been Back to the Future and this most recent one, this 80s movie called Flight of the Navigator.
Okay.
I don't know, like there are people who are familiar with it, and it's a little cult classic for them because they saw it as a kid. And I don't know if you guys
I
are
saw
of
it
a
when it was out,
generation. Yeah, you saw it?
Never saw it.
so-
I definitely know it, but I never quite saw it.
Yeah, it's one of these little cute family Disney films that are like it doesn't necessarily, but it's at the same time like when it came out, it kind of blew the minds of a lot of 12-year-olds, and the effects, like the stuff that they did to kind of make it feel real and engaging, mainly with just this super alien spaceship that's just from another galaxy and is really, really unusual and alien technology. It kind of was, I don't know if you could say revolutionary, but they definitely had to think outside the box with that stuff. And I would say it was kind of even though the movie's a little silly, that aspect of it, like what would a ship from like just a completely unrecognizable alien species look like and feel like and seem like, you know, like it would seem completely unreasonable and you wouldn't understand what it's made of and why it's behaving the way that it does. And it would be an AI thing. And that's what they depict in the movie, which is kind of like plausible to me.
So do you have any plans on doing John Carpenter's The Thing?
Jay, I was thinking the same thing.
That's definitely in the right wheelhouse. Like that's the kind of thing that I would cover. I'd have to. I've personally never been like a huge fan of horror, but I need to get into things like that in order to expand my horizons. And there's definitely
there's a
lot
ton
to
of
cover
special
there in
effects
terms
there,
of
though.
effects.
I mean, all
Yeah,
practical, all intensely, detailed.
I don't think it'll ever be matched in practical effects. I mean, because why even do? I mean, I still am a fan of practical effects, but you could augment it now with CG. And I saw the sequel that they made, and it got a really bad rap. And in a way, it did not live up to the original. It was a prequel, but they did practical effects and they augmented it with some visual, some CG stuff. And some of the effects were actually pretty dramatic. I enjoyed some scenes of the prequel.
That's awesome. Well, that's the thing. Like the thing I find funny when I work on these videos is, back in the day, you see a lot more practical effects these days, more computer stuff. But there's always, whenever visual effects are covered, like you see behind the scenes featurettes from back then and today.
I love that stuff.
They always they always focus on like one simple thing. Like in the case of Well, like in the case of Terminator 2, you know, it was all about the CG and all that. But there are practical effects in that too. And same thing with this Flight of the Navigator movie. Like kind of the one-line story about it was that it's the first time they used this reflection map kind of mirror depicting like a mirror surface thing with CG. So when I started working on this video, I just thought it would just be all about that. But I didn't realize, and most people, even people that worked on the movie, some of the people that did CG, they didn't realize they did a whole lot of other stuff. Like they actually used real physical models and stop motion and all these things. So I decided to like do a deep dive to the point where I literally, I don't know if you guys want to see this, I have an actual exhibit for you.
Yeah, come on, man.
Screen used model of the ship.
Screen
How did
you.
that-
Whoa,
where'd
see
you
that.
where'd you
Yeah,
get
like,
it?
this is a real thing. Well, it was given to me by kindly elves brought on the wings of fairies.
Yeah, awesome.
No,
Yeah,
it's like, you know, people collect props, and these things are sometimes float up on auction and things like that, and you just got to snag them when you can. But yeah, this is one they made many miniatures like this. In fact, like this is not one of the motion control ones. You know how they film like the Star Wars stuff,
Yeah.
where they film it in slow motion with robotic things. This is not one of those, but it's from some of the practical effects they did. But they had this exact kind of model, the same size, and because it's completely flush, they couldn't like put mounts anywhere, and they had to just make multiple ones with the mount in different areas that are not going to be facing the camera, basically. And the ship had two different shapes; it would morph, so they had to like build multiple versions of it for that too. So crazy stuff like that. And I just try to present it in like as fancy a way as I can with my videos, like try to be cinematic and whatever with well, you guys, I don't know if people the viewers watch my videos, they know I try to give it some flair.
Of course.
not
That's
just
why
a
your
ton-
show is awesome, because it's, you know, it's constantly funny and edgy, and you know, you do a lot of unexpected mood changes, you know what I mean? Which I think is pretty, that makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah, I just feel like, you know, what I started to do was like trying to be a filmmaker and then got on YouTube, and I never did other things like purely like a podcast, you know, or just something, you know, do just drawings or something. So I always felt like I need to do a little bit of everything. Like a video medium is so like it's demanding on every front. So I don't like just to be a talking head or you know, emphasize one aspect. I try to give like a good show.
So how long does it take you? Like you said, 5 to 10 minutes, right? Your average show.
Yeah.
How long does it take you? Is that a month of work per episode, or is it a couple of weeks?
I mean, I really tried ever since like the era of doing Patreon stuff. I've been trying to keep myself to a monthly schedule, but it's like it worked for a little while, but then I found that like I keep pushing, trying to do weirder and more complicated stuff, and you kind of have to start deciding like, should I work on this for a little longer and give you a better product, or should I just stick to my schedule and keep it simple? And I found that my patrons personally like happen to be the kind of audience that they tend to trend toward wanting to see a cooler thing and are willing to wait. So it's been like sliding. Like I've been taking longer and longer periods to make fancier and fancier stuff, and it's been working okay. I don't know. Like I think I do need to, maybe I need to decide on a longer period that will be consistent.
Yeah.
Something longer than a month, but not too much longer, and maybe that's the way to go, but I'm still figuring it out.
You know, it's funny, like in the type of work that we do, you know, first of all, like we're not like these big corporations that are making enough money where you can sub out stuff or hire people, or, you know, it takes a lot of money to do that. So I can imagine, you know, you're doing everything, right? You know, you feel like
Pretty
you have
much.
you're
I
doing all
mean-
the post production, like that's your magic. That's where all the magic happens, is in the quality of your post.
It's been like that for many years, and then, but to be fair, like even from the first video, I would like film them at my parents' house and in the, you know, that corner of the room thing,
Yeah.
and someone would have to operate the camera, so it was like my dad just like
Yeah.
helping
Awesome.
me out. But it's
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then over the years, like I did a couple episodes where I tried to hire a little crew. But then it would be like, it's my girl. It's a combination of my girlfriend, my dad still kind of doing the camera work, and now I've started recently working with a couple of people just remotely, just in terms of like helping to do the research and writing of the stuff and some of the visual effects. But I'm still like, I'm a very hands-on person, and I don't have that skill of like delegating sometimes. I still struggle with that. So I end up like taking on too much or feeling like, oh, by the time I explain it to this person or do iterations of something until I'm happy with it, I could just do it myself,
That's what Steve and I suffer from that too, right?
So you,
Yeah, it would actually almost be more work to sub out some things,
Yeah.
like editing.
I find that that's the case a lot of times. And I realize like yes, that can be if you don't have a system, but if you go from the start and decide these are the shots that are going to be in, and this person's good at this and I'm a little better at this, and I'm just never going to even touch this other thing. I'm going to give it straight to them, and then we all put it together. Like if you decide that from the beginning, I think it works a little bit better.
Yeah.
But if you just kind of improvise, you just want to do everything yourself.
Yeah,
But
you're 100% right. Okay, hey, now I wish I had a way of seeing like what it takes to put one of these bad boys together.
Well, it's funny you say that. I want to show you, I have some things I can show you a little bit more. I do these bonus little videos and features for the Patreon supporters, and I brought a couple today that we could take a look at. For example, like one of the major parts of this latest video, I kind of already revealed it. I had this actual model from the movie, among other things. There's other interesting like little artifacts, but because I wanted to reveal this thing, I had to do it like in a nice fancy way midway through the video. So, I try to do these cinematic shots, and I wanted to show you just a single shot of how it looks in this new video first, and then kind of show you what it takes to do that.
Okay, cool.
So let me just play real quick this little tiny segment, if this works.
okay.
And then there was the challenge of matte passes. See, normally you could backlight a model over a bright backdrop or overexpose it on black velvet to create a matte. But neither approach worked with this giant, shiny Christmas ball. You certainly couldn't blue screen it. That would be a disaster.
And that's it. That's all you get. You don't get to.
I want
I
more.
won't get the reveal of what happened next. But yeah, you could check it out. It's on your local YouTube. So it's kind of simple, but there is like a camera move to it. It goes to the side. It goes up. The focus shifts. It's all like premeditated. And I'm saying a little piece of monologue. And I am not a good. I mean, despite of the impression people get from the channel, I'm not like a really good performer, and I can't really remember the lines really well.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of takes and a lot of practice to coordinate it all together. So I did a fun thing where I put together all of the takes of this particular shot and played them together in sync to show you like what it actually takes. I don't know if this will be a little bit of a cacophony, but maybe
let's do it.
fun. So check it out. Let's see.
Or overexpose it with black velvet, or overexpose it with black velvet, but neither approach where this that would be a disaster.
That was crazy.
So yeah, and some of them.
Take 3 was awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's the one I use. No, but sometimes I'll mess up the line. Sometimes the camera shakes. Sometimes I put the thing in the wrong place. Sometimes the focus is off, and you just have to keep doing it till it works.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah,
Alan, did you forecast your camera work? Like your camera movements are very much
Previs?
a part of your show. Yeah, there's something about the way you move your camera in Captain D that is Captain D. Do you know what I mean?
I just try to feebly imitate kind of like the classic Hollywood movies that have their nice floaty, like just, not like shaky cam kind of things, but yeah, steady cams and like nice dolly moves and crane moves.
Yeah.
Whichever way I can. I just feel like that gives you that little bit of a, cinema vibe. But yeah, I have just like, one of the things I happened to do on this video, because I knew it would be kind of an epic undertaking, is I documented the entire filming process on the set with a time lapse. So I kind of showed it to my Patreon. I could show a little bit of it to you guys.
Yeah, take a look,
in
man.
fancy way if you like, so you could actually see exactly what goes on. I don't know if this will play. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, it's working.
Well, first of all, one of the things I had to do is I use this sort of table as a kind of setting on which I show. It's like a hologram emitting table, and every time I use it, because it takes so long between videos, I have to kind of redo the surface of it. So I started with just like resurfacing it by hand, doing this little bit of a set design, and then when I was finally done, in a little bit, we actually had to set out and do this like 3-day shoot, and you could see my girlfriend there like pretending to be Captain D in some over the shoulder shots, because it starts with the captain and Alan kind of facing each other talking, and it's just a bunch of like, I just make a shooting schedule and stuff and just try to go by the book as if I'm making a little short film.
Yeah.
And we just figure out the right order to do things and dole them out. And especially in something like this where I got to have makeup on sometimes not. Sometimes it's green screen, sometimes it's the real room, stuff like that. So it's just a big sort of producing exercise. But yeah, you can see the whole thing if you like on my Patreon. But
So what I learned from watching that is your girlfriend really loves you.
She rocks. Yes. I mean, I couldn't do this without her. And the thing is, it's like, she's not someone who, it's like, it's not her life ambition to be a cinematographer or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, no, but she's very supportive, and I'm very lucky. And anyone that I ever ask to help and stuff have been so generous with their time. Like sometimes if I invite guests and things like that, I've only had good experiences. So it's awesome. It's awesome when people help.
If you love production work, it's such an easy thing, I think, to fall in love with. And I love everything to do with production work. Like it just, to me, it's such a challenge, and it's so creative. Every step of production work is creative. From the moment you come up, you hatch an idea to the final edit, you have 1,000 decisions to make every hour, and I find that really awesome. I think that's an amazing feeling.
Yeah, but more importantly, how do you get minions? Because I got big Halloween plans, and I don't have enough minions, man. What do you got to do?
That is what I want
Mind
to know.
control something?
Yeah, I mean, it's a challenge. Like I'm not used to. I'm always used to being a one-man band, and it takes like a change in thinking. I think when you just tell people, if you already do something cool and like people can see the results of your work, and you just broadcast out there, I'm looking for collaborating with people and for help and like to hire someone, people will come, but it just comes down to then how do you deal with that? How do you best use everyone's talents, and how do you choose the right people? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I'm still struggling with that myself. It's kind of a learning process.
Yeah, I mean, Bob, you just got to ask. You got to start with
Yeah,
being
yeah.
able to ask.
I was mostly joking. I do 99% of what I do for Halloween, and I like taking all the credit. I don't like sharing credit with people.
Yeah.
So it's all me. I made this.
That's right. Oh, I have, okay, whatever. This is a big show and tell show today.
Yeah, do it, man.
One of the things I did use a little bit of help from other people. Like I did some recreations of things. I used some real props, but I needed to kind of recreate some stuff to show like how certain things worked. So one of the things in this movie was like the hull of the ship, and the interior of the ship was also this chrome, strange kind of surface that they built completely and shipped all the way to another continent to film there. But I made in this 3D software Blender, I made this little kind of panel just as an example of what it looked like. And I used my own Captain D logo in there to make it clear that this is not a real thing. But I made it in 3D, and then these guys, there's a channel called Punish Props who do these builds of
I've seen them.
cosplay, and like they're really good. So they were kind enough to actually 3D print this on the printer, and then create a vacuum form version of this in this sort of plasticky material, just like what they did on the movie, and then they plated it with this kind of semi-transparent chrome kind of look that it looks like opaque, but then you can kind of shine lights through it. I don't know if that shows up.
Yeah,
it
very
does.
cool.
Did this kind of stuff. Yeah. So, it's fun. That's something, for example, I can't do. I don't have the skills to make props like that. So my mode of operation is usually, can I somehow, through a lot of pain, do a thing myself? If yes,
Yeah.
then I do it. And if I just absolutely have no skill, then I like very shyly reach out to somebody else to, to like, can you please do this for me? And usually when you're asking other YouTubers, all they typically want in return is just to do a cameo in their thing or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Or they make a video about doing your project. So that kind of works out for in the world of YouTube, at least.
Yeah, it's funny. There is a community, like the creators definitely, it's like everyone's kind of like a fan of everybody else's, like you're,
Yeah.
we are totally happy and willing to, we bring people on the show, we want to talk to them, want to find out some behind the scenes stuff. But we're always willing to collaborate. It just depends on, who it is and what the circumstances are. But, the podcast community, I think, is actually pretty cool in the same way.
That's cool. Yeah. I think it's been strange for me because I don't know. I'm just doing like, I started doing Captain Disillusion just being a fan of skepticism and like the whole movement, but I didn't really know like, what's my little niche of it. I just was doing my weird thing, like a filmmaker, a frustrated filmmaker trying to do something in like a critical thinking presenting space. And so I got kind of gradually got pushed into this educational YouTuber kind of place where like, being invited to like talks and things that are in that vein. And I kind of always felt a little bit like a fraud in that because I feel like it's more entertainment and kind of silliness, the stuff, the kind of content I make. But then again, I'm not really, you wouldn't watch my stuff for pure entertainment. Like I'm not making awesome short films and my effects are not like world-class, cool and realistic. So it's kind of like, on the one hand, it's weird because I always feel a little bit that I don't fit somewhere. But on the other hand, it's cool to be like welcomed in different communities. Like, you're kind of a skeptic, you're kind of a filmmaker, you're kind of entertainer or like whatever.
Yeah.
So I guess there's a positive way to think about it.
It's funny. I never thought of it that way. Like you're in my sweet spot because it's like, we have a lot of common interests. Like, you obviously like science fiction. You're a critical thinker. You're debunking. You are looking at stuff and saying, you're calling bullshit and you're showing and not telling, which is awesome. So for me, when I watch your show, I'm just like, oh my God, this is perfect. It's like perfect content for me. But I see what you're saying though. Like someone isn't just going to watch it that doesn't like. You have to check a couple of other boxes with your audience in order for them to really appreciate what you're doing.
But that's probably true for everyone. Like I'm sure you guys get, feedback where it's like, well, I wish they just stuck more to science news and didn't discuss,
How did you know that? That is so get that.
Yeah, right.
Well, yeah, and I get like,
Did you send that
Sorry.
email, Al?
Yeah.
no, that wasn't me. That was
Love the
Mr.
show,
Skeptic 3000. No, like, but I get a similar thing where it's like some people love the story and fun stuff, and in the room, and they want more character development or something. But other people are like, I wish he would just get to the point and explain whether the thing is fake or not. And like enough with the little goofy What's with the makeup? Like just do it normal.
The 34 and over crowd hits you with those.
Right,
emails,
right.
yeah.
It's
First
there
of
should
all-
be a little pie chart in the demographic.
You certainly don't belabor anything. I mean, you have so little story development and interjection that way. You have a vibe. That's your vibe. That's the way you communicate your show. And I always find that to be like, I take those emails a little like, what the hell? Like, I'm sorry I'm having a good time. I'm sorry I actually am enjoying what I'm doing. Like give us the space to, we need to do that in order to produce what we produce.
I always tell people they can have their money back if they're disappointed.
But we've done it perfectly dry. Like when we did 5x5, which was like a very short format, to the point podcast about a single topic. And when we did that was real work. That was very different than the podcast. I enjoy every aspect of producing the show, pre-production and everything. It's, I enjoy my research. But man, when it got down to just doing like a news item where you're just delivering it, like there is no personality, there's nothing going on, all of the fun evaporated.
Yeah.
So I think people that digest content don't realize that we have to do it in a way that we enjoy, or else we're not going to do it.
Right, because this isn't a TV show that's been put together by like a team of people and market tested and stuff. It's just like this is the only kind of thing that I can make when I just freeform create something, and same with
Right.
you guys. So it's like, let us, if it happens to line up with your vibe, great, and if it doesn't, like I think it, all right. I mean, some people do adjust what they do a lot to the audience, and maybe sometimes you have to do a little bit of that, but I think it's a mistake to just kind of do everything by the numbers.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
just gotta, that's the benefit of being on the internet, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, if you have enough people, watching or listening to your content, you're going to get feedback that's just opinion, it's just taste.
Right.
It's going to be all over the place, and I do pay attention sort of to the aggregate of that feedback,
Right.
but they're looking at it from a very narrow point of view. Like, we've had every kind of feedback you could possibly imagine. Can you just skip all the jokes and get right to the content? Or you need to do more of this, you need to do less of that. It's like, okay, this is my favorite segment. I'll use it as the same segment as my, I hate that segment. Just get it out of the show. So it's like, all
can be
right, that's
tricky
all
'cause
just
sometimes
opinion. Yeah.
You'll do a joke or something, and it will be not just like some people don't like that, but it'll be like a group of people who don't like that catch wind of it, and then you get a little bit of a backlash or something like that. That also happens, and it can be very strong. Like when you start seeing a bunch of feedback that's negative about something you didn't even think was.
Well, you get swarmed.
Yeah, you get swarmed, and that's really hard to. There are times when you made a mistake or something, and like that doesn't work or something, and that's important to know. But then sometimes it's a mob that's just because it's a little group of people who are unreasonable, and they are giving you feedback that's confusing you. So it's kind of a skill to not let that like influence and scare you sometimes as a content creator. You have to be like, why I think this makes sense, and here's why, and I'm not gonna let that derail me.
Yeah, it doesn't mean that we don't take feedback or over the years. I mean, we've learned a lot from interacting with our audience, but it does. There are comments and feedback types where it's literally they want to unravel your thing, which that blows my mind. It's like, well, that wouldn't be the same show anymore. Then we're doing something different, that's just an odd piece of feedback that people like to give for some reason.
Yeah.
Alan, what's behind you? What is that behind you, by the way?
Well, this is a piece of set. This is basically just an abstract little set I once used in an episode that's supposed to be a sort of a science lab that is located underneath the room that you typically see Captain Disillusion in. But then when I started doing a little bit of streaming and things like this for like supporters and stuff, I just decided to make that as part of my my environment. But it's really just in my editing office where I do all the magic happens. All the post-production magic. But similarly, like if I turn the camera just a little bit, you'd see a very boring, messy room. So it's all part of the magic.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
That creative minds are typically not clean people, I think.
My office is pristine within this frame.
Yeah, right. We
right.
got the 8 lines going back.
Don't look down here.
You have to figure out exactly the focal length with the angle of view of the camera and just do enough cleanup,
Or just put up a divider like behind me for the show every week. That's what I do.
Yeah.
No cleaning necessary.
Yeah, you put up a whole fake
Sometimes
background
I
if
think
you
about
want.
doing just a green screen thing, but like I'd rather use the CPU power for other fun things, and it's like and it could always break. So I'm uncomfortable with virtual backgrounds. Oh, there you go. That's you know what?
Now I'm
that's so
outside.
much easier. It's maybe
Magic.
that's what I
Magic.
gotta do.
So we went full green screen in our studio because we needed it to be much more flexible because we have multiple things that we're doing now. And it was hard, man. We disassembled our Star Trek console and everything, and it was
Man.
I still cry at night.
it was very hard. It was very hard.
What you should have done is too
late. It's too late.
No, let him talk. Let him talk.
No, look,
it's just going to be painful. This is salt in the wound.
I'm just gonna make a very reasonable suggestion. You should have just left some aspects of the set and put green screen in other places and used a motion control system that would robotically move the camera and record the motion and recreate it as a virtual set, so that you have this more spacious place, but some of the elements would be there to interact with, and all of it would need to use Unreal Engine to kind of render it on
Yeah.
the fly and
We're already
stream it,
doing
and that's
that.
all you got to do.
Yeah, we had that
We're-
set up, and Steve
we're
said,
already
"No, get rid of everything."
Oh well, sometimes people just don't appreciate produce the struggle. They don't appreciate creativity.
Don't be gullible,
Ian-
Alan. That's not what happened.
Ian, what were you going to say?
I just said we're already doing that basically for
Yeah,
some
good.
secret project.
I know, isn't that
Oh, well,
ridiculous?
look
Like,
at
like we are going a little bit too far.
A little
Hey,
bit.
But we have 3 or 4 shows we're doing out of the studio, so we can't use the same. We basically were using the same prop piece for 4 different shows that had nothing to do with each other, so it didn't really make sense anymore.
No,
you know?
that's smart.
Yeah. If
I have a
only
little
we
green
had a
screen
bigger
set up
studio.
in the next room. Yeah, like
Yeah.
there are things I have. Like there's some videos I actually do on green screen, and I just have this kind of abstract background. That way, it just focuses. It's like the shorter videos about debunking something very simple. And
Yeah.
I find that that's like, if you want to keep things simple and quick,
That's
it
distracting.
works for that kind of vibe as well.
Alan, do you ever, when you're trying to find the next thing that you're going to do, I can imagine you're just watching a lot of YouTube videos and trying to just absorb what's out there and see what nonsense has come up. But is it ever driven by you getting angry? Do you make a decision like something pissed you off so much that you really
Yeah.
want to do it?
I mean, I wouldn't say, because I try to stick to videos that are just like, what is that? Why is that thing flying or whatever? Is that a ghost? Like something that is just like, even if a lot of people are passing it around, it doesn't make me angry. It's just kind of funny that so many people, that pay any attention to something like that, like debating, is that a real ghost or not? But sometimes I would say I'm such a geek that there'll be a thing where people see an unusual video and they kind of suspect that it's fake, but they start debating or explaining to each other. And I'm looking like from the sidelines going like, nope, yes, it is fake, but that's not how they did it. And now I really need people to know that I know that they did it this way, not that way. And then that germinates into a video that I really want to make. So maybe it's that kind of anger. It's just like a dorky, like, I know better than all of you about the thing that you're talking about. That's usually what happens to me.
Do you, I watched a recent show. I don't know how recent you did this. It was like the never-ending staircase, or the staircase that the person goes up and then so I watched that
The
recently.
Ashurian stairwell.
And it occurred to me when I was watching it, by the way, all the different things that you pick up in the video. Like there's all these clues and hints that you see. Like from like a shadow to you could actually like they're off by a frame or whatever it is. Is it possible for like if you were trying to look at an effect that was done in a Hollywood movie that they had top end people doing it? Is it possible, do you think, that someone could do something in a way that was flawless that you couldn't detect that it was faked?
Well, sure. I mean, in different ways, I would say yes. Would answer yes to that, because yes, something could be done just all around really well and flawlessly, and then like for example, if someone if someone just put a person that wasn't in a place, footage from another place into another place, but it was like nobody important and there was no reason that you would think it's weird that that person wouldn't be in this room, and they did it flawlessly, and they would put it out there, like no one would ever think that there's any reason for that to be fake, and no one would ever know, like that could exist. But if it's like, oh, this president is in this country or something like that, right? Then people start to scrutinize, and they could spot something or even when it's flawless, they'll say, well, this is not possible, so this is fake. So there's that way that somebody could do something. But then there's also, now we, with like deep fakes and things like that, you could start to see like machine labored performed things that we clearly know are not real, but you could stare at it all you want and it just looks real. The end. But from both sides there could be that kind of singularity that happens. But you just have to rely on one or the other. Like, well, this is not real, not because I could see the pixels, but because here are like the real world reasons this is not likely to be true.
Yeah,
and
and
in
that's
some,
gonna
but in other cases, yeah.
that's gonna be the like the deep fake thing. I'm glad you brought that up because it's going to be a game changer, and I think we're going to have to come with some reality test. Like, how are we going to know if something is real in the future? You know, the ability for
AI will help us.
I hope
Yeah,
so.
that's my first thought is like I don't get automatically scared because we know this is a thing that exists. It's not like there's a secret technology and they're using it, right? The first thing that happened is like, oh, look at these kids doing these weird little like deep fake face swaps, and we know it's a thing. So now you can just approach footage you see from the world with that attitude. You could be like, well, this could be a deep fake. I can't prove to you that the face is not real, but this is one of those things that it could be now. But also, as the deepfakes looked really crappy at first, and they needed really, really, like, even with enormous data sets of faces and stuff, they couldn't really get the compositing of it right and the blending of, skin tones and things. And now it's becoming a lot more real. But with that, there's probably someone working on an algorithm that is going to detect that. I mean, I actually read things like that are being developed. So it's going to be an arms race, I guess.
Oh, sure, for sure.
Deepfakes will get better, but you just have to. The only way you could really analyze deepfakes is with an AI, analyzer that will just reverse engineer and check for the little flaws that that can happen, but that you can't detect with the human eye.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're lucky that we can counteract it with the same processing power, right? Because it's going to take something that has the same amount of muscle to be able to unravel it.
Yeah, but it's frustrating, Jay, because once you find a mistake, then they can incorporate that into the next iteration, and then that mistake is gone. It's like, that's it. You got to find another mistake, and eventually there's not going to be too many mistakes left. I've been trying to think, what would it take if you wanted to film an event and you wanted to make it more likely that this is not a deep fake? What would you do? What can you do to make it harder to say, oh, that's just a deep fake? I mean, would it take 10 people filming from 10 different angles? To and that would certainly boost the problem. If I saw 10 different angles of the same event, I would say, all right, that's not a deep fake, because that's tough. That would be tough to do, but not impossible to reproduce. I'm just trying to think of what could be done.
Well, because you could probably
Good
incorporate
one.
some authentication in the software itself that proves that it wasn't altered in any way, but it'd have to be encrypted. Otherwise, you could fake the authentication, right?
Yeah, I feel like I heard something about, them considering like introducing, how like there's been, for example, copy protection on VCRs and things like that. This is something you have to build in. Yeah. But it has to just be universally agreed that we will have that, or like region, different DVD players only playing certain regions. Like the world has to agree that they'll build this into all technology, like all cameras or something, or there could be something externally out in the world that when a camera captures it there's some invisible signal that's transmitted that can kind of corroborate that this hasn't been altered by whatever way, like that this came straight from the real world through a lens into a camera. Like there are probably ways to, but it has to be like a global effort where we just kind of agree this is a problem, and we're going to need a technology that oversees that.
Like the normal news cycle, though, a big problem I think with deepfakes is going to be the damage could be done before. Yeah. That saying that a lie can be told and go across the world before the truth gets its boots on.
Ben Franklin.
Yeah. Yeah. So the idea with deepfake is, man, they could show the president of the United States doing something horrible, and then it's Mark Twain. Yeah. And then by the time everyone, all of us. People like you and people in the skeptical community go, whoa, holy shit, that's not true. It's too late.
I know, with all the Pentagon video stuff, right? It's got this the gullible news cycle has happened. So over the next couple of months, we could completely debunk all of that, and the report is nothing, and it's a big nothing burger. But most people will just remember, oh yeah, they proved that UFOs were real, at some point.
That's it.
That's going to be the bottom line memory of a huge chunk of the population. It's too late.
Randy goes on the Carson show to debunk psychic surgery. They all call up, where can I reach the psychic surgeon?
Yeah, right? Oh, Christ.
That's it.
That's motivated reason.
Oh, gosh. Awful.
Yeah.
So we'll take some questions. If you guys want to ask Alan something, or if you want to ask us something, you could start sending them in. and Ian will collate them for us.
Or if you want to ask Adam Savage a question, although he won't answer it because he's not on this live stream.
Yeah.
I know, like it's unbelievable.
The running joke keeps running.
commit. Yeah, but just stop
got
denying it. Just roll with it.
I know he's got to
I
just,
don't.
just take the mask off, Evan. Come on, everybody knows you're Adam
There you go.
Savage.
Oh,
There
wait.
it is.
Glasses do make a difference, though.
They
When we
do.
were at Dragon Con, holy shit, the first year that
That was
we
fun.
did that, when you did that at Dragon Con, I remember walking next to you and it was like he was Jesus.
Yeah.
It
You
was.
know what I mean? It was awesome. It was so funny that people were like completely fooled.
Completely
Because
fooled.
it's because it's plausible. 'Cause
Yeah,
you could-
it is,
because you
especially
could do
in that environment in which there's so many other things sort of going on. So you're not really 100% focused on the one thing, that you really need to concentrate on. So at a glance, absolutely, I would
Yeah.
be fooled by it, no doubt about
And
it.
because there must be a cross section of people that like know you and know him, and kind of like they know your look, they recognize you, but there's this double effect, and they'll just think you're the other person,
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's
It's fun.
absolutely.
People have fun with it. So, and
And in
how
the
I
case,
look,
in
so.
his case specifically, because we could all recreate that because he does the incognito cosplay thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you could just be wearing a big armor and stuff, and just come up to people and say, "Hey, I'm actually Adam Savage."
Yeah.
So and then because that's what he does, right?
totally
Like
meta.
yeah.
That's amazing because he could just poke his head out real quick, and I think a lot of people would just be like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. Good thing Adam's a good guy.
Good guy.
Right?
Guy doing good work.
Yeah. Alan, what would you be doing if Captain D never was hatched?
Well, I'd probably just,
Cloned him?
Just do the. I don't know. I was in film school. I was doing the typical thing of like I almost went to study computer animation, and then at the last moment I realized, oh, I should just do film school because computer animation, and I'm glad I did that because it's true. Like now you can just watch tutorials and learn anything you want in terms of doing something on a computer. But I learned like teamwork kind of thing and how the whole process works of like everything we talked about at the beginning, the whole production process. And I just thought, I'd be making shorts and maybe break out into doing features and maybe, go to Hollywood and pursue my dreams. But YouTube, in a way, you could say either YouTube derailed me or it like saved me from possibly not, achieving what I aimed to achieve. I don't know. But,
no one will know.
yeah,
I mean, that's just reality.
Yeah,
you
no
know?
one will know. I mean, I'll still try to be a big Hollywood big shot. Don't get me wrong, and maybe use this as. I mean, I joke at the end of my new video that like they should let me direct the reboot of this movie.
Yeah.
That I explained the effects of. So there is still that ambition, fluttering there in my heart. But who knows?
Instead, you're stuck
what
in
the future
YouTube
brings.
hell.
Yeah, but it's not YouTube hell.
I mean,
it's not
you're on
YouTube hell. But you have you have an awesome audience. You have a huge audience. I mean, I
Yeah,
read
I
the
gotta-
comments on the show. Your comments are great. You have good people that watch you.
I'm glad you bring that up because I forget to mention this. This is definitely true. Like I find that my audience tends to think better of me than I sometimes think of myself and my own work. So that's I know there's a lot of creators for whatever reason, whatever like kind of niche they're in, whatever their audience is, that there's always this dynamic of people bringing them down or just them feeling burned out, and I never really get that. Like I feel like people lifting me up. Of course, there's always individuals and like people making fun of the way you look or like what are these weird choices you're making. But on the
Haters are
whole-
going to hate Alan.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's what they
gonna
do.
hate. But like, you'd think. I mean, that's automatically true with patrons and people who choose to support you. They're like sweethearts all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
But even on just generally on YouTube, as far as my videos, I tend to see like a disproportionate amount of like people just talking normal. Just the fact that people are not being complete weirdos is already a big win on YouTube.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And I tend to get a lot of that. So that's good.
It's a rare
We've had the same experience. I mean, like most of the people that do this live stream, that watch the live stream every week. I mean, we look through the chat and it's like we have intelligent, funny, very engaging people that, a lot of these people are patrons of ours. And we have a Discord server for our patrons. and I lurk on there all the time, and they're getting into really intense conversations, and you can just tell that these are people that have a brain. And I appreciate that. I love it.
I think that's the only way that this stuff works. You just have to build communities around. Creators have to build communities around themselves of people who get it, people who want to support them, and just have that dynamic happening. Otherwise,
and then blogs are their own universe. So I spent years cultivating a good audience in my comments section of my blog.
Yeah.
And then Ian talked me into switching over to Discus, which technologically was a good idea, but it opened the floodgates to a bunch of assholes. Now I have a lot more trolls in my
Fucking
blog
Ian.
than
What
is
an asshole.
optimal.
Look. Yeah. Okay. Fine.
It's true. It happened. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I didn't have to go back. It's just Discus is a portal for trolls. Like you say, Alan. Like I write about global warming. Here come the global warming denier assholes.
Right.
They just come on.
For
Matt.
dunking on Ian, I would like to bring up the fact that the description of this live stream's video on YouTube does a little tease of guest star, and I don't really understand the clues. It says it's someone whose name starts with a C and ends with a D or an N. Which part of my name ends with a D?
All right, that's fair. That's a fair point.
Captain
People you're yelling at. Yeah, but I was thinking Captain D, Captain D, or CAPTD. Because people abbreviate it, and then
people.
Plus, I didn't think Captain D was going to let you out of the editing dungeon, Alan. I wasn't sure if he was actually going to relinquish that. So so that is my mistake.
I'm just kidding. I just thought it would be a funny, it felt like the right time to mess with
Yeah, thank you. To just
to play my part.
Not like people don't do that enough to me. Anyway, so we have a couple questions. Here is both for the SGU and for Captain D. Or Alan specifically, when are you guys going to get one of the stagecraft sets? And how many patrons do you need before you can get that? That's the stagecraft is what they use for the Mandalorian filming.
Oh yeah, that's on our list.
The volume.
What is that, Jay? 100,000 patrons? Is that the threshold for that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll put that on there. If we get, we're at 4,700 right now, so don't hold your breath. But
the software that drives the display of those things is free. It's like
it's unreal.
They have a thing. Yeah, it's just like you just have to pay a license fee from what you make off the thing. But the displays and things are like thousands,
that's where the money is.
Of dollars.
Yeah.
So that's it's a little tough.
What an amazing tech.
It's not just. I mean, the cost. I know that this was probably not a serious question anyway, but when you think about
the
cost,
answer it anyway.
Well, no, I love the volume. I love the volume. I love the whole idea of it. Is one of the most brilliant inventions for filmmaking that's ever happened. It is a true order of magnitude increase in everything that we need. That industry needs.
Yeah. It would be wasted on us. Yeah.
Of course it would be. But the expense, you need a huge studio, especially if you're going to do a full 360 volume, forget it. Just fucking forget it. That is just so expensive. But you need a crew of people just to maintain the building, and then you need craftsmen in every little department to run a studio like that. It's intense.
Here's a question. Oh, go ahead, Alan.
Sorry. I think we said everything we need to say about it. I was just gonna say, the little Captain D in me starts to bubble up when I see some of those behind the scenes, because I feel like a lot of times, and they do hint at that and show it a little bit in the Mandalorian behind the scenes, but they tend to use the volume for lighting more than they do for the actual in-camera background. I suspect if you looked at their footage, I think that they use the green screen. They do that thing where they insert the green screen, segment of it in the camera view, but they use the rest of it for the reflectivity and stuff. So I bet the percentage of shots that you see in the show that are actually projecting the backdrop is not that high. But that's just a guess. I don't know.
That's surprising
because
I thought that the volume, it had the green screen, even a little piece of green screen, it casts green reflections everywhere, which is a pain in the ass.
Well,
not behind it.
But they're shown in some of the behind the scenes footage. What they do is just they're always pretty far from the section that's directly behind them. It's a huge room, so they only project a green screen sort of patch that's just going to fill the frame, like your guy's room's being clean, just just what
Yeah.
you could see. And so
Gotcha.
that doesn't really create a lot of green cast overall.
Okay, I
Especially
remember
with the rest
seeing
of
that
it,
in the
so.
behind the scenes. Interesting.
Yeah, the plus these volumes are not all the same size, and they're not all 360. I mean, there's lots of different shapes and sizes to them. I mean, you could just have a flat LED panel behind you, as an
Yeah.
example. But the Mandalorian, like if you look at it, it's pretty high. I would imagine, trying to be conservative, because I know whenever people guess feet, vertical feet, that they go too high. But I think they probably have about 20 to 30 feet above of height for their screens.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the making of, right, where they went into a lot of detail about it, and there's, they often will have practical sets meshing with
inside.
the
Yes.
digital, and
I
you
love
could see how high they go, before they transition to the digital set, and it is a good 15 feet at least, 16
Sure.
feet, like the bottom part of the ship that they walk into with the 3/4 of the ship being digital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, what was the next question?
Impressive.
Yeah, for Alan specifically, do you regret the makeup you started using?
It's a great
Sometimes, but it's funny. Like years ago, I did an episode which James Randi helped make happen. A little epilogue in an episode which James Randi made happen because he put me in touch with Penn Jillette to record a little voice, and I pretended to be Penn and Teller, like as Captain D versions of them, like with this half silver, and like said a line that he said. But the way that I did that is just he recorded this line for me over Skype or something back then. And I remember just doing a little hello with him at the beginning, and one of the only things that Penn Jillette said to me is like, I bet, like something to that effect. I bet you hate putting all that shit on your ears every time. Or something. And it's true. I don't regret the makeup in general, but I do regret including the ears in it, because that's the part that is super annoying to do.
It doesn't come clean.
to
Your
be
ears
honest. Oh,
always
really?
take a couple of days. Yeah. Hell
Yeah, the
yeah.
ears
Well,
are
I
the
use-
you gotta
So you can't get fake ears, paint those, and just put the fake ears on? No, that won't work, right?
I mean, I gotta have somebody do a cast of my ears so that I could just put these little non-Vulcan, my own ears on
Yeah.
my ears that are silver already. Maybe that's the solution. Or
Alan, are you-
because I gotta go in and behind, and then it's gotta. Sometimes I don't get it all painted right, and then when I'm done, taking it off is a nightmare as well.
Oh,
Do you
geez.
use, just out of curiosity, are you using Mayron for your face makeup?
Mercury.
What brand do you use?
just pure mercury. I just pour nice mercury on my
You just drink it,
No,
and you get full.
Yeah. I went through a couple of iterations. I mean, back in the day, I would just use like Party City, like cream
Yeah.
makeup that would just stay wet the entire time. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
get
I know
silver
what you're
that
talking
much.
about, man.
But then I switched to, I tried the Mayron one, and it's actually too classy looking. It's not that sparkly, so I
Yeah.
used the Graftobian one. But the Mayron liquid that does the mixing. Why am I really like revealing all these secrets here?
'Cause
You
it's
guys
my
have a way
job.
of
I'm-
drawing
I'm-
it out of me.
I'm semi-interviewing you, so
sorry.
I just want to know.
No,
Whatever.
but yeah,
ma-
I mean, I think I tried a couple different ones, and I'm still like deciding what I want to use moving forward. But I tend to stick with the Graftobian. I don't even know if that's the right way to
But
say it.
I mean, because you could do whatever you want, like Captain D could go through some type of transformation. Maybe where you lower it
Yeah.
below your ears,
Ooh, Captain D
Yeah,
2.0.
I mean, or I create a sort of Japanese like Power Ranger style like version of myself that when it's time for action, I transform, and like there's an armor that forms around me, and there's with my face, let
Yeah.
alone show my ears.
Beautiful.
Like maybe that's,
Helmet would be
those.
pretty cool.
yeah, that's a real idea I'm entertaining.
Yeah, do it, man. I think that would be awesome. Hey, turn that ship that you have right there into a helmet. Look, imagine that thing.
There you go. It'll just be all around.
Ian, you got another one?
Yeah, we got a question. This comes from a video that they saw on TikTok. Specifically about a video game entitled Endeavor, which says it's an FDA cleared treatment for ADHD. I'm wondering, Steve, if you know anything about what FDA cleared means, and if there's any reasonable assumption that this works.
Yes and no. Yes, I know what FDA cleared means, and no,
Perfect.
it does not mean that it works. So FDA needs to clear devices, and what that means is they won't immediately kill you. It just means that the device itself is not a risk. It works, meaning if it's an electronic device, it's an electronic device, and it's properly grounded, and it's not going to shock you to death. But there is absolutely zero review of efficacy for FDA cleared. The other thing is that the FDA is much more laissez-faire when it comes to devices versus drugs. They spend most of their resources on approving drugs. For devices, again, they really just want to make sure that they're not going to kill you outright. They don't spend, even when they approve them, it's still not nearly as rigorous as for drugs. I mean, I've seen the FDA approve devices on flimsy evidence, flimsy. And then there's also another one that's even less than cleared, like FDA evaluated or something. Like, yes, it's been registered with the FDA. They did nothing about it, but yes, you've registered that your thing exists with the FDA. Total scam. So yeah, whenever you see FDA cleared or FDA registered or whatever, that's all nonsense. If it doesn't say FDA approved, it means basically nothing. And when it comes to does it work, effectiveness.
They shouldn't even be able to use the FDA name.
Well, you might, that's a good point, and I thought that as well, that even if they have those categories, they should not allow them to be used because it does create automatic confusion.
Yep.
Unless you're
Be more clear, like
unless you're a specialist.
FDA Glanstat.
Yeah, right.
Or just that you have to say not FDA approved or something. Like you got to put some kind of red flag that alerts people to like, this is not FDA approval.
Alan, if somebody contacted you and said, "Hey, I'm making a fake video. I'm gonna falsify something, and I want you to help me make it very hard to do it," would you do that?
I mean, I guess I'd ask them like what the end game is. Like if they're trying to do some sort of test and then reveal that, I'd consider something like that. And if depending on the vibe of what they're doing, is there some kind of performance art element to it? Is it like art? Then yeah, I think that would be interesting. I would consider it. But of course, if someone's just trying to fool the world and just present like evidence of something that doesn't exist, and
what if they say we want to scam people out of money? Would you do it then?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna maybe possibly pass on that one. Yeah. But no one's ever asked. People
You
have
have to
constantly.
say that.
People have what? Have to say that.
Yeah.
But I do get sometimes people saying like, "Oh, you should make a fake video yourself and then debunk it," and I just think, I
That could be
guess
dangerous.
that's a thing to do. But yeah, like again, like it would have to in the end, if I did that, it would have to feel like when you think back, why did the captain do that? Like, is there like a storytelling element to that? Like, what is? It couldn't just be random. Like
That's more of a skeptical thing, I think. Just
And it could backfire too.
to show people like how easily fooled they are or whatever. Like that's not really Captain D's
At
shtick,
the end, you just wake up. It was a dream. You open the shower door, whatever. Then that's it's all a dream.
I mean, yeah, I did a video about like this dumb product, this projector bracelet once, and I actually like, jokingly contributed, like they had a Kickstarter or something, some kind of fundraising campaign, and I was like, there's no way this is happening, and if they make something, it's not going to be what they're advertising this to be. But I contributed just for the chance to have the thing. If they actually build a prototype or the first round of them that they send to backers, I wanted to have it, but it never happened. I didn't expect it to. But that's like as far as I'd go. I'd want to see, like, show me what you got, and then maybe do a funny review of how that product is absolutely not what they're claiming it to be. Like something like that makes sense for me.
Yeah, we toyed very briefly, like at the very beginning, with the idea of doing that, like do the hoax, document the hoax, and then reveal the hoax.
Yep.
And I vetoed that idea. I thought it was high risk, low reward, and it's at the end of the day, it just would probably just hurt our own credibility.
Yeah, and maybe it's a thing of a time, like maybe like in James Randi heyday, like there was a time when that
Yeah.
kind of thing worked, like it's rang true, like it worked the right way. But now there's enough sophisticated fakery happening for so many different reasons all the time. It's strange to contribute into that, even if your
Yeah.
intentions are good, I think.
Yeah.
Plus, Randy was a magician, and magicians
Yeah.
fooled people for entertainment. It was already built into the shtick, the profession.
Right.
But we're science communicators, and it's not part of what we do.
Right.
And it would have just been, I think, a disaster.
Probably.
But yeah, it's tempting to think about that, to think about that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, somebody said
Content. I need content.
Yeah, of course.
That's right.
Yeah, we're lucky because we rely on the news quite a bit, and there's always news. There's always something going on. There's so much science being performed, good
Always
and
people
bad.
saying stupid stuff too. So
Yeah.
Endless.
Right.
It is an
Do you ever?
ocean.
What about crowdsourcing? What if you just ask people, your patrons to send you ideas?
Well, I do. I mean, I kind of do that. I also have a little Discord, and like there's a section in there that's just people suggesting things, and I do get a lot of requests for like the same thing,
Yeah.
but it's not like what people want me to cover doesn't always feel like what I should cover, because
Yeah.
there's a difference between people being curious about a thing right now in the moment, like is this thing worth paying attention to or not, versus like is this going to make a good video. Like I feel like not everybody gets like all the what's needed, because it's got to be like worth talking about for a stretch of time. Some things
Right.
I'd rather just explain in a tweet, and then is it visually interesting, because maybe this
Yep.
is more of a discussion while being a guest on a podcast or something. And so yeah, not everything meets the criteria, and I do find it difficult sometimes. I get picky, and maybe I could
Yeah, you
think
have
more
to,
outside
though.
the box sometimes.
Well, you have to be picky. I mean, what you just described is the chops that a content creator learns, right? Like we have the same thing. Like we can look at news items, and all of us can do this at this point. And Steve is definitely like the final word, and sometimes will catch us making a bad decision about what we want to talk about. But yeah, there's criteria. Like specifically in my world, like I'm doing Who's That Noisy, and I'm sure Evan felt the same way when he got email suggestions on noises that we want to discuss. It has to jump through a certain number of hoops in order for me to use it. If my first hoop is it can't just be white noise, right? Because everything has a white noise component to it. But you get the idea. I know that you're doing the same thing. Like you're like, man, it's got to be cool to look at. I have to be able to talk about it for 10 minutes. It has to have some value to debunk it in the first place, to even discuss it. Like all of that stuff, we all learned that from probably making tons of mistakes in the past.
Yeah, and in my case, it's also, can I even dig up a decent enough looking version of this video, which has been passed around multiple times, and like everyone's sharing it, like, making their own copy of it, and it gets crappier and crappier looking, and it's hard to track down the author. Because like when I can track down the author, sometimes I'll like, half the videos I ever get asked about, I just look for the oldest version of it, see who posted it, and the person's like 3D artist, here's my demo reel, here's all these other videos I did in this vein. It's like, what is there to talk about? I could just point my finger, say it's from this guy, he does this kind of thing every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like sometimes just starting to explore a video just instantly unravels it, and it's like, how do I make an interesting video out of that?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, the good news for you though is there's so many content creators and people throwing crazy stuff up that I don't think you'll ever run
There's
out
no
of
shortage.
stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
Evan, you want to do your puzzle really quick before we take more questions?
Sure, it is a quick puzzle this week. There are 3 words behind me: path, tropic, logic. What do these 3 words have in common? Or perhaps another way to phrase it is, what word do you think of when you think of these 3 words? And you can kind of add a word on there, or add one word to these 3 words to make them another word.
I got it.
Which one?
Cancer.
It's ickle.
Ickle.
Pathological, tropical, logical.
Oh yeah, that's
Ooh,
not a
that's
bad
good.
guess. Not a terrible guess. I've seen worse. It's not
Must be
correct.
psychopath, psychotropic, psychologic.
Yeah, Psycho was one of the guesses that actually does fit. Steve, I thought you would go a different direction with it, though,
Well-
which is actually what I had in mind.
Well, there's neuropath,
Neuro.
Neuro,
neurologic.
thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
this puzzle was
neuropath
designed.
is, it's really neuropathy, but it's fine.
But Evan,
yeah,
Evan,
but if I put pathy up there, what the hell? That's
I know.
kind of going to be kind of
Yeah.
a giveaway.
all right, so I was wrong though. Is that what's happening? I was wrong.
Yeah, you were wrong, but that's okay.
All right.
You were wrong in a good way.
I'm okay with it.
Psycho
wrong
was
answers, but you were
also
wrong.
Psycho was also mistakes were made, just not by you. Psycho was in there. ISO also works, and Socio. All those worked. But Neuro is what I had in mind. But there were a lot of right guesses, and I'll give a shout out to James Smith from our one of our patrons who's joining us on the Discord channel, who got it right, was the first one to guess Neuro, so he gets the prize this week. Oh, and a shout out to Jackie O, who was right on the heels of it, but just a half second late. So
And it turns out that Alan is the prize this week. Is that correct?
hey,
Oh my gosh. Where do I go? Where do I mail myself?
Yeah, right.
your acceptance, yeah.
I require a pretty large box to be mailed.
Guys,
All right, go
I'm
ahead.
gonna do a quick callback to the kid meatball comment, which is really funny. But the messages here were really good. So besides kid meatball, there was meatball boy. Jay, I like that one.
I like that one.
How about corporal meatball? That's pretty good. One of my
Meatball.
favorites, rear admiral meatball. That's got multiple
Careful there.
interpretations.
Careful.
And the
there.
last one I saw was beef baby.
Beef baby,
So-
yes, I like beef baby.
All good, thanks guys. That was fun
Oh,
reading
meatballs.
those.
You know,
I can't wait
We'll
to
have
stop
to-
this diet and eat meatballs. Oh,
we'll
gosh.
A/B test these names with my audience.
Yeah.
Tell you which psychic,
All right, let me
psychic
know.
name you have.
I'm here. All joking aside, if you ever needed me, I'm here. I mean it. Doesn't necessarily have to be
honestly, good to
meatball
know.
boy, but
All right, you got another question, Ian?
Yeah, so this one, so there's a movement going around advocating that vaccinated individuals should avoid the unvaccinated. What, to your mind, is the best way to deal with people who outright refuse to get the COVID vaccine? Avoidance, shame, education, a big stick.
All of the above.
Okay.
I mean, it depends on what's the relationship with you, how forced are you to be exposed to them. Your question is to what end? I mean, is it for your own
What's the most
pleasure, for your
effectiveness?
own safety, or to influence them to get vaccinated?
Yeah, I think the latter.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to influence them to get vaccinated, if they're influenceable, which I think a chunk of them won't be, then I think information probably works the best, and also, the carrot, giving, pointing out. So social norming is effective. Information's effective, and social norming means saying everyone's doing it. That actually works. Yes, we are that easy to manipulate. Shaming usually makes people dig their heels in. It's not that effective. Right? Then they'll just set out to prove that they were right and you're wrong. But if your goal more is to protect yourself, it's just easy. Just don't associate with them. Just don't expose
And
yourself.
have
to
cool
them.
celebrities saying that it's cool to do.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's right.
Try this at home, kids.
Let's take a couple more.
Along the same COVID vaccine lines, about the longevity of the vaccine, is there any new data to drive some optimism?
You mean the effect of the vaccine, the antibody response, not like the longevity of the shelf, not the shelf life.
Not the shelf life, right? The effect once you get it.
Yeah, I mean, they're still tracking it. It's looking like it's going to be at least 6 to 9 months. Hopefully, we'll cross over that 1 year mark. So then it's kind of easy. You get it once a year. It's going to settle in probably somewhere there. 9 months to a year, something like that.
Question for Captain D. What's your most hated, quote unquote, viral video that you can't quite explain?
Oh,
If
like
there is one.
a video out there that I would make a topic that I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had a good answer for that. There have been videos, not lately, but like there have been things where I started on it and it seemed like something very simple, And I was like, okay, I got my explanation already, and I start the production on or at least writing the video, and I realized that, oh no, I made an assumption there, and yes, I know this video is fake, but I no longer know what is the exact method, and at that point, it's like it's hard to make a snarky video saying exactly what the answer is because it could be different things. I'm trying to think of a specific example, but like, well, that's the people ask me to do something talk about deepfakes. We were talking about it earlier, and that's the thing I don't know how to like, other than just do the video that everybody else would do, just to say it works like this, and watch out because it's a thing.
Yeah.
You can't tell when it's fake. Those kind of topics frustrate me. Like I wish I could just be like, see, this is why. This is like something very simple and easy for everyone to see with their eyeballs. So yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a specific example, but it's like certain topics are just not conducive to snarky, sarcastic debunking, and those frustrate me.
Does anybody? This person's asking, who are the other rogues' doppelgangers? And Alan, do you have a doppelganger that you know of? Since Adam Savage came up so much,
I kind of feel strange to say it because I'm not familiar with this content creator as much as I should be, but I think he's called Technology Connections. People keep saying that this person reminds that we remind them, the audiences, of each other, and I just have to get more familiar and understand what is this resemblance everyone sees. But I don't know. I get different at different stages of my life. I mean, if you watch my videos, because they don't come out that often, you could see this progression of like guy takes picture of himself every year where I'm like slowly melting.
Yeah.
And so I've had like you look, oh gosh, I wish I could remember all the different ones. Who's the Hulk guy?
Oh yeah, I can see
Mark
that.
Ruffalo. Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, I
I
can
get
see
that.
that.
I used to get that, and at a certain point, it kind of faded away because I guess I don't look like that much like him anymore. So stuff like certain ones used to float around and then and disappear. But yeah, sorry. Who else got doppelgangers?
That's a good question.
Well, for me, I get mistaken quite often for Tom Ellis, the guy who plays Lucifer. What could I say? I mean, he's got a foot on me, and but otherwise, I think we look identical. But clearly, I'm lying my ass off. But tonight I'll be watching the new Lucifer. It just dropped. Woohoo! It's a fun show. And while I'm talking,
Oh, boy.
some people are asking about robots. So I got a new robot, and it's in part of a theme. I've got a new theme of robots. So this one isn't new, but this is an Ultron one that I've had. That's one Ultron, and then here's the other Ultron, which is even cooler because he's got this awesome weapon. I mean, talk about a sidearm. Look at that thing. And here's my new Ultron, which is much taller than the other ones. And he's kind of cool looking. I kind of like him. He just keeps going. He's as tall as Tom Ellis.
Whoa.
But so he's my new robot to the collection. And now my Hive robotic minds are a little bit smarter.
Do you ever get an urge to do like stop motion animation with these guys? That whenever I have one in my hands, I just want to do that.
Little robot chicken.
I do, but I want one. I want one with enough articulation that you really could do a good stop motion. And those are, if you get those, if you could, they'd be like so crazy expensive. But
We used to do it when we were kids. We totally used to do it with a VCR camera, and it actually came out.
Yeah,
it was horrible. It was horrible, but it was horrible. But it was funny though.
Instead of one frame at a time, it caught like 15 at a time, but it kind of worked.
Right. Oh, I used to do that too. I made a little animation stand, and I used to draw like the cells, like those transparent covers for a book report kind of thing, and I would use it as an animation cell. And like you have to start and stop the camcorder because it doesn't have a frame. Frame thing, and you learn the cadence to get as few frames as possible at a time.
And you always have like one of these frames where you're like, oh shit, you got your hands in there, like, what are we gonna do?
But Jay, I've been for the past few years, I've been seeing some stop motion snippets where they on purpose they show you the animator in there, so you see the stop motion puppet moving realistically and amazingly lifelike way, but you also see the narrator at super speed making the adjustments, and
I know, that is so
that
cool.
is such a
I've seen that.
talent. You know, the fact that
Yeah,
you're
they do
doing
that
it, you're in slow motion, you're filming it in super slow mo, and it's still the motions can be so realistic. It's amazing. What a talent! I'm glad that art has not died, because it's beautiful.
Sure.
All right, what do you say, guys? Everybody feeling good?
Yeah, I'm hungry.
I feel good.
Jay, you must be hungry, man.
I'm always.
Well, let me show you this deep fake I came across here. I'll get out of the way so you can see if you can identify and notice this here. See if you can. Can you spot what might be wrong with this picture?
Look at the cover of the D&D book. Awesome.
That's awesome.
Wow.
I love that picture.
Perfect.
So much fun.
You know that you could
It's a happy fang.
the Bob Ross paintings are like very valuable, and you can
Yeah,
buy those.
there's a
Yeah.
good. You can see it on YouTube. Watch the what is it, documentary about Bob Ross and the curator. There's this one woman who is in
Really?
charge of all of his originals. Yep. Very, very interesting. So I suggest watching it. I watched it about a week ago.
Yeah.
And I'm glad, because I would get everything wrong because I haven't kept in touch with the world.
It's a good show.
My video.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. We had a great week, Alan. Thank
was
you so
fun.
much.
Have a
Thank
great
you.
Yeah, Alan,
weekend.
Guys,
Really
for
love
having me.
talking
It's
to you, man.
awesome.
Hopefully, we
Same.
will see you at some point.
Look at that.
in Meat Space.
Wait.
Wow. Look at me. It's the young me
Who is
doing
that?
an actual backflip.
That's
That
real,
is
dude?
cool.
Yeah.
Impressive,
real.
man.
No way. Serious?
Can you still do
this
that?
This is me from my. It's from the. Yeah, sure. I can do that. I'm only like 200 pounds heavier than whatever I was. No. This is from the closing credits of my first little short film in high school. Like, it was about a little plucky TV
Nice.
production crew who get the news to the studio on time, and it's just me having fun. I
That's
used to be
awesome.
able to
That's
do things like
impressive,
this.
man.
Was that take number 15 or?
No, you
No,
know,
that's first take.
It's just for fun. It's to impress people, you know. To see.
I'm impressed. That's great.
High school.
Love it.
I will always
you.
see you as the guy that could do a backflip now.
Nice. Well, you know,
Captain
I've been
Backflip.
thinking I should get back. It's not inconceivable for me to get back in shape. You know, every once in a while, I think I gotta shake off the rust and get back into it. Maybe it would be cool to see Captain Disillusion do some kind of, you know, martial arts action.
That would some Bruce Lee level karate
Maybe it
would
would
be
be a-
awesome.
Yeah.
Parkour.
Yeah.
Captain D
Yeah.
parkour.
You're already your actual your zipper hoodie that you have, or that's not a hoodie, but that has a little Bruce
Sports,
Lee
yeah.
jumpsuit look to it. So
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
That's a good parallel as a parody to something. That,
Yeah.
I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, I'll work
well,
on
brother, thank you so much. It was great catching up with you. Good to talk to you. I'm glad
Thank
that
you,
things are
guys.
going
Thanks,
well.
Alan.
Thank you, Alan.
Thanks, Alan.
Thanks,
Thank you
Ian.
for
Thanks,
having me
everybody,
on.
for joining
Thanks,
us.
Ian.
Yeah, good night,
Steve.
everybody.
Thank you, Jay.
Good night.
Thank you,
Be
Bob.
good.
Hey, what about
Thank
what's happening in
Oh
later
my God,
this
you're
year?
right. You're
Come
right.
on,
We have
hello,
next is
hello.
necss.org conference, August
Just put
6th,
the links in the
August 7th.
chat.
All right, go to the next.
Yeah, and wait, one more thing. Don't forget about the Fort Collins extravaganza event. You know, Alan, that would be a fun thing for you to join us with sometimes. If you ever want to do any stage, we do like a
Okay.
it's like a variety comedy show with a
Alan
science
was horrified.
infusion. Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah, at the prospect of performing live without a net in front of an audience, in front of a live audience,
And it's
I'm
improv.
made for that,
Yeah.
you guys.
Wait, we only take
you
our
can
shirts
see.
off twice.
Yeah.
You could do
Okay.
this, man.
All right. All right.
Ian, was that your
Let's psych
groan?
myself up.
And we all do backflips at the end.
That's
So.
right.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah, Alan will do
I'll
mine
be
for me.
prepared. I'll be prepared.
All right, good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Kid.
Thank you.
Skeptic's Guide to the Universe is produced by SGU Productions, dedicated to promoting science and critical thinking. For more information, visit us at theskepticsguide.org. Send your questions to info@theskepticsguide.org. And if you would like to support the show and all the work that we do, go to patreon.com/skepticsguide and consider becoming a patron and becoming part of the SGU community. Our listeners and supporters are what make SGU possible.